Okay, so to end the year, I'm just going to do a quick overview of my favourite budget devices that I've used in the last 12 months. In this last 12 months, I've had the opportunity to test some really nice budget devices that don't cost a huge amount of money. So here is my list of my favourite budget devices that I've used in 2022. Okay, so my first phone on this list is the Realme C35. It's a phone that I put up as looking very much like the iPhone 12, all down to that nice green colour. It has a 6.6-inch 1080p display, 50 megapixel main camera, 5000 mAh battery with 18 watt fast charging. It's just overall a really nice phone to use. The design was a lot more premium than what the price would suggest. The 50 megapixel camera took some pretty decent photos. It did unfortunately lack an ultra wide camera, but that wasn't the end of the world for me. 18 watt charging is of course a little bit slow by today's standards, but that's just one gripe that I had with the phone. Like I said, the design was really nice, the flat plastic edges, the camera took some nice photos. Performance from the Unisoc Tiger T616 processor was okay. It was absolutely fine for my day-to-day use. The lack of the 90Hz display wasn't the end of the world for me. The 60Hz was absolutely smooth enough and the display was really nice looking. Overall, I really liked using the Realme C35 and I didn't really want to get rid of it, but then that is the case for all of these phones really on this list. And you can grab the Realme C35 for about 150 quid. You get a charger in the box, so that's just something to bear in mind if you're looking at the Realme C35. The next phone on my list is available for just a shade under £200, and to be perfectly honest, in my opinion, I think it punches way above its price tag, and that is the Motorola G62. Really nice matte plastic finish on the G62. I got it in their blue colour, I can't remember the name of it. Triple camera system with a 50 megapixel main sensor and 8 megapixel ultra wide. You get 15 watt fast charging, a 6.5 inch 1080p IPS LCD display with a 120Hz refresh rate. You get stereo speakers. Just a really nice budget device that I had no problems using. Processor is a Snapdragon 480 plus 5G processor, so 5G on a budget. And then with the photos from the Motorola G62, you just get the standard natural looking photos from the majority of the Motorola devices that I've used in the past. Standard ultra wide quality of 8 megapixels is nothing to write home about, but main camera photos I thought were really good. Again, nice and natural, no problems at all. Just a really nice phone to use. It was quite lightweight as well, so it didn't feel like it was a big phone or anything like that. 6.5 inch display is not the biggest on the market, so it just made it a little bit more manageable in the hand. Overall, a really great device to use and one that I would still highly recommend using today. The next phone on the list is a phone that doesn't really excel in any particular area. It's just the design and one extra feature of this phone which adds it to this list. Personally for me, it's just something that I really enjoyed using, and that is the Oppo Reno 7. Now, like I said, nothing particularly fancy with regards to the specs. You get a Snapdragon 680 4G processor, you get up to 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is about double what you get on most standard budget devices. You get a 6.43 inch AMOLED display with a 90Hz refresh rate, 32 megapixel selfie camera, 4500 mAh battery with 33 watt fast charging. Just a really good budget device to use. But the main thing for me, or main two things for me actually on that phone, was the design of the phone, where you get kind of a fake leather sort of feel on the back of the phone. And you also get a microscope camera, which to a lot of people I think is going to be a bit gimmicky. They're only going to use it a couple of times and that's about it. I did find myself using it quite a lot, and it did actually spit out some really cool photos. Here are some samples for you to have a look at. As you can see, it gets really close and personal with the subject. It's something that I didn't expect, and it is miles better than any of the macro cameras that I've tested. Although it's not the highest resolution, I did find that it is a lot more fun to use this microscope camera than any of the macro cameras on the market. Again, a phone that I really enjoyed using. Nothing spectacular with regards to the performance or anything like that. Battery life all day, no problem. The 64 megapixel main camera did actually produce some really nice photos. They're very contrasty with lots of nice color and plenty of detail as well. The lack of the ultra wide doesn't bother me because I actually found myself using that microscope camera a lot more than I generally use any ultra wide camera. So Oppo Reno 7, a good option. It is, I think, about 250 quid now, whereas I paid about 180 at the time, but still a really great phone to use. But if you fancy yourself a bit of Samsung, I used the Samsung Galaxy A33 phone not that long ago, and this was a fantastic phone. There was not many areas of this phone that I found were an issue. It's got a 6.4-inch AMOLED display with a 90Hz refresh rate, in-house Exynos 1280 processor, which is really great performance, built on an efficient 5nm fabrication, 5000 mAh battery with 25-watt fast charging, a 64-megapixel primary camera, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide, a slightly higher resolution 5-megapixel macro camera than others on the market, an in-display fingerprint scanner. It has a really nice design, smooth matte finish. I got it in blue and it was available in some other colors as well. It looks very similar to the A53 and the A73 from the back. So really nice phone all around. The only thing that I had issues with the A33 was the in-display fingerprint scanner. I didn't find it to be the most responsive out of all of the in-display scanners that I have used, but that's the only thing that I found to be an issue on this phone. Everything else was absolutely fine. The performance was really, really great. Not quite to the level of the Snapdragon 778 found in the A53, but a really nice, smooth experience on the A33. And the camera is probably one of the best camera experiences I've used on a budget Android device, I think, at all, really. The photos were absolutely amazing for that budget segment. Really nice, vivid photos, plenty of detail. The ultra-wide camera produced some better ultra-wide photos than I've found with any other budget device that I've tested. Video quality was pretty good as well. It supported 4K video at up to 30 FPS, and there is optical image stabilization on the main camera as well, and the front facing camera supports 4K video recording as well. So if you can get the A33 for cheap enough, I somehow managed to pick one up for about 160 quid off eBay, but even at the normal £300 price of the A33, I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. It was a fantastic phone, no problems other than the in-display fingerprint scanner. But other than that, it was absolutely amazing. I had no problems with it at all. And lastly, I'm just going to quickly jump on the iOS train and talk about some of the older iPhones that I've reviewed on my channel in the past year. I've done 7 Plus, 8 Plus, 10R, 10s Max, 11 Pro Max. I've done first gen SE, the second gen SE, and out of all of those, and of course my 14 Plus, but out of all of those, my favorite that I've reviewed is the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now, everything about that phone, even today, is absolutely amazing. Really great 12 megapixel main and ultra wide and telephoto cameras that produce some really nice, natural iPhone looking photos. I mean, that's not really the best way of putting it, but they're just very natural looking photos. Still produces some really great video as well. I actually did a lot of my YouTube videos using iPhone 11 Pro Max. A13 Bionic processor is still a powerhouse, still absolutely fine for the majority of people's everyday use. 3969 mAh battery is enough to get you through a full day with no problems at all. Wireless charging, stainless steel surround and glass design on the back. OLED display, of course it's still a 60Hz display, but you know, that's iPhone for you. So the only thing that may kick it out of this roundup technically is the fact that I wouldn't necessarily class it as a budget device, because it's still going to cost you about 350 to 400 quid even for a refurbished one, I reckon. But it was still an amazing phone to use, and if I'm being honest, I actually regret upgrading from my 11 Pro Max to this 14 Plus, because I haven't found the differences in my day-to-day use, that's including battery, performance, camera, everything like that, to be much different on my 14 Plus than what I was getting on my 11 Pro Max. The only difference is this cinematic mode video, which of course you don't get on that, but everything else seemed very, very similar. I wouldn't complain if I still had it now. But of course, if you don't want to stretch to that 350 to 400 pound, I also did a review on the iPhone XS Max, which I did use as my daily driver for a little while before I upgraded to the 11 Pro Max. And even that was absolutely great. I mean, the A12 Bionic processor inside that was still absolutely fine for everything I needed to do. Still got an AMOLED display, 12 megapixel main and telephoto camera. Of course, it didn't have the ultra wide camera. Still has the Face ID, still has a stainless steel surround, glass back, wireless charging. Although a considerably smaller battery at about 3100 milliamp hours, it was enough to get me through a full day, but of course you're not going to get the battery endurance on that than what you get on a lot of Android devices and of course newer iPhones. But even XS Max is still getting support for iOS 16 and it's still a great phone to use. If I still had it now, I don't think I'd notice a difference much in the day-to-day use, even with the 14 Plus, again, except camera and battery life. But that's my roundup of my favorite budget devices that I've tested and reviewed on my channel. Thank you for watching this video and thank you for watching my videos over the past year. For those people that are subscribed to my channel, I do appreciate you sticking around and listening to me waffle on about random stuff, sometimes getting a bit waylaid. But yeah, thank you for watching. This is probably going to be my last video of the year, so please stick around. I've got more to come in the new year, I hope. So thank you for watching and I will see you next year.